Do not pack your carry-on until you check these 12 new TSA rules. A few weeks ago, a traveler walked up to a TSA checkpoint holding the exact same driver's license she'd used without a single problem for 20 years. The officer looked at it, looked at her, and said she had two choices: pay $45 right now, or she wasn't getting on that plane. She had no idea that rule existed. And here's the part that should worry you. Most travelers won't discover these rules until they're standing at the airport. Bags packed, flight booked, with nowhere to go but back. Some of these mistakes can cost you money in less than 30 seconds at the checkpoint. Others can get your bag pulled, your gift confiscated, or your boarding pass denied. So, today I'm walking you through 12 ways travelers are accidentally getting themselves into trouble at the airport in 2026. Not just what the rules say, but exactly how people are getting caught by them, and the one thing you can check tonight to make sure it's not you. Rule number 1, the $45 confirm ID fee. Here's how this one catches people. They show up to security the same way they have for years, same license, same routine, and get stopped cold. Since February 1st, TSA rolled out something called Confirm ID. If your license doesn't have that small gold or black star in the corner, and you don't have a passport on you, you can pay $45 to go through an alternate ID check process instead of being turned away. Here's what makes this genuinely frustrating: that $45 isn't even a guarantee. TSA itself admits paying doesn't guarantee they can verify you, and the process can add 30 extra minutes at the checkpoint. So you could pay, wait, and still have a bad morning. My take? This is exactly the kind of rule that hits older travelers hardest. A lot of folks have had the same license for years and never had a reason to think about that little star. So check it tonight, not at the airport. If there's no star, the smart move is simple. Travel with your U.S. passport in your carry-on, even on a quick domestic hop. It costs you nothing, and it's the one document nobody can fee you for. Rule number 2, the automated gate sizer. Here's how this one plays out almost every single day. A traveler walks up to the gate with the same bag they've flown with for years. The gate agent points to a metal sizer box, and the bag doesn't fit. $60 to $100 disappears off their card on the spot, and the bag goes under the plane anyway. United started rolling these out in late 2025, and American and Delta are testing similar machines at their biggest hubs right now. The machines don't care how nicely you ask. Standard max size is still 22 by 14 by 9 inches, including wheels and handles, which is exactly where most people get caught because they only measure the body of the bag. And this is the part most travelers don't realize. It's not even consistent. Southwest allows a slightly bigger bag. Frontier and Spirit are far stricter and often only allow a personal item-sized bag for free at all. My honest opinion, this is where the airlines have quietly shifted the burden onto the traveler. The fix is boring, but it works. Measure your packed bag at home, wheels and handles included, and keep a screenshot of your specific airline's limits on your phone before you fly. I want to tell you about one traveler this actually happened to. She'd flown the same carry-on for 6 years without one problem. This time, a new automated sizer at the gate said no. She had 2 minutes to decide, pay the fee or leave something behind. She paid. She told us afterward the worst part wasn't the money. It was finding out only at the gate with a line of people behind her that the rule had even changed. That's the pattern across almost every rule on this list. It's never the rule itself that hurts. It's finding out at the worst possible moment. Rule number 3, the personal item squeeze. For years, your personal item was whatever bag fit under the seat, and nobody really checked. That's quietly changed at most major airports in 2026. Here's how it's catching people. If your bag doesn't slide under the seat without being forced, gate agents are now reclassifying it as a full carry-on the spot. and on a budget airline, that reclassification can run you close to $100. Standard personal item size on most carriers is around 18 by 14 by 8 inches. United is even more restrictive in some cases. Spirit and Frontier are the strictest of all, and it genuinely surprises first-time flyers when they hit the gate. Quick test at home. Pack the bag, then slide it under a low chair or your desk at home. If it goes in without force, you're fine. If it takes a shove, you've got a problem waiting for you at the gate. Rule number 4. Power bank visibility. This is the single biggest change in air travel this year. As of March 27th, all 193 ICAO member countries now require power banks to stay out of the overhead bin entirely. The reason this matters is serious, Raul. After nearly 100 confirmed lithium battery incidents on U.S. flights in 2025, including one that destroyed a jet on a runway in South Korea, regulators decided a battery fire crew can't see is a fire they can't stop in time. Here's what catches people off guard. It's not just about where the power bank sits. If you're actually using it to charge something, it has to stay visible the entire time. Not in a bag, not under a jacket. One of the biggest mistakes isn't even about where you stash it. It's forgetting the charger has a hidden number that decides whether it flies with you at all. We'll get to that next. Here's a tip that wasn't in the official announcement, but should have been. Pack a slightly longer charging cable. That way your phone can sit comfortably on your lap or tray table, while the power bank itself stays out in the open the whole flight, exactly the way crews now need it to. Rule number 5. The power bank limit nobody reads the label for. As of May 1st, American and Delta cap you at 2 power banks, each rated 100 watt-hours or less. Southwest allows just 1, full stop. And both American and Delta now ban charging your power bank from the plane's outlet mid-flight entirely. You can charge your phone from the bank, not the other way around. Here's how this one quietly trips people up. Most travelers have genuinely never looked for the watt-hour number printed on their charger. If you can't find it anywhere on the device, that power bank can be turned away at the gate, no exceptions. Honestly, most people have never even looked for the watt-hour number printed on their charger. Go find yours tonight. It's usually stamped right on the back or the side. If you can't find a number at all, I'd leave that one at home, rather than risk it getting pulled at the gate. Rule number 6. Liquids that don't look like liquids. This is the rule that surprises most seniors, and I promised we'd get to it. Jam, peanut butter, honey, soup, soft cheese, hair gel, mascara, snow globes. If it pours, spreads, or squeezes, TSA treats it exactly like a bottle of water. Here's what makes this one painful instead of just inconvenient. It's almost always something sentimental. A homemade jar of jam from a daughter. A snow globe a grandson picked out himself. None of it feels like a liquid sitting on your counter at home until it hits the X-ray belt and gets pulled, no exceptions. Before anything goes in your carry-on, ask one simple question. Could this be poured or squeezed out? If yes, it belongs in your checked bag. Rule number 7. The 311 rule, with a catch. The classic rule is still alive. 3.4-ounce containers, 1-quart bag. What's new is that some airports now have CT scanners, letting you skip removing liquids entirely. The catch that catches even careful travelers. Having pre-check doesn't guarantee your lane has that scanner, especially at smaller airports. The airline won't remind you beforehand which lane you're standing in. My advice? Unless your airport explicitly confirms it has the newer 3D scanners, pack like it's still 2015. Rule number 8. Smart luggage batteries. If you own one of those sleek, smart suitcases with the built-in USB port and tracker, listen closely. This rule has gotten stricter, not looser. The battery now has to be removable by hand, no tools. or the bag isn't allowed in the cabin, or even checked baggage on most major carriers. There are already documented cases of travelers leaving expensive bags behind at the gate because the battery needed a screwdriver to come out. Check yours before your next trip, not the morning of. Rule number 9, medication and medical device rules. This is the rule I think matters most for this audience, and it's the one most overlooked. Medical liquids, like insulin and eye drops, are exempt from the 3.4-ounce limit entirely, but only if you calmly declare them before your bag hits the belt. Medical devices, CPAP machines, and the batteries that power them are also protected, but officers won't always know that automatically. It helps to have your prescription or a doctor's note handy. What makes this frustrating is that the protection exists, but almost nobody is told about it ahead of time. So people either leave medication behind or get delayed explaining something they didn't need to explain in the first place. What to do tonight is keep medications in their original labeled containers and pack a copy of your prescription list in your carry-on, not your checked bag. Rule number 10. The flammables hiding in everyday bags. Bug spray, full-size hairspray, lighter fluid, pepper spray, banned from the cabin regardless of size. Travel-size personal care aerosols are fine at 3.4 ounces or less inside your quart bag. One disposable lighter can travel on your person, never packed inside the bag itself. What to do tonight? Do one pass through every pocket and ask, could this catch fire or spray under pressure? If maybe, take it out. Rule number 11. When in doubt, ask before you pack. Here's a mistake that costs people more than they realize, guessing whether something's allowed instead of checking. If an item could possibly be mistaken for something dangerous on an X-ray or you're simply not sure, the smart move is to ask before it ever reaches the checkpoint. Snap a photo and send it to the official Ask TSA account on social media. They actually respond in plain language, usually within the hour. If you're packing anything unusual for your trip, photograph it and ask before you fly, not after you're already in line. Rule number 12. Keep what matters with you. This is the rule that ties every other one together, because none of the first 11 matter if your most important belongings aren't in the right bag. Laptops, medications, jewelry, passports, important documents, anything fragile or essential should never go in a checked bag. Checked luggage gets lost, delayed, or gone through far more often than airlines like to admit. The night before you fly, lay out everything valuable or essential on the bed and load it into your carry-on first, before a single piece of clothing. So there it is, 12 ways travelers are quietly getting themselves into trouble at the airport in 2026. Most of them changes nobody sent you a warning about. Here's the honest truth. Most travelers only learn these rules after they've already made the mistake, standing at the gate, watching the fee come off their card, wondering what just happened. You're not one of them anymore. You just saved yourself from a future airport headache, and that's worth more than anything I could say in a closing line. Tell me in the comments which one of these surprised you most. I read every single one. And if this helped you, hit subscribe, because next week I'm covering the senior travel rights the airlines never put on a poster anywhere in the airport.